Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today, the start of the early access in A Path of Exile 2. It is the 6th of December. We have waited for a bazillion seconds, I guess, like many months and years for this moment to happen. And today I want to talk about my starter plans and some overall thoughts about the early access. So I would say we're actually going to start with the thoughts of the early access because the character selection, stuff like that, is going to be a little bit different on what it used to be on my channel. So, my thoughts on the early access has not changed over the past couple of days, even though there has been changes and they showed all the ascendancy notes and everything. But honestly, browsing through the PoE YouTube and seeing all the content creators showing off their insane, crazy starter builds, and I'm always sitting here and thinking like, bro, you guys have no tree, you guys have no items, you guys have no nothing, so no idea. It's all about clickbait and money grab and so on and so forth. And I still stand by what I said very early, like a week ago or so, where I said, the best case is you just pick whatever character you want to play, what just feels like looks cool or maybe feels good, and it's all like a tryout phase. It's not a league start, it's not a race, it's no nothing. It's just about having fun and enjoying the game. And for me, this is basically the go-to way. I'm not going to try to race for, I don't know, the first level 100 or the first one to finish the campaign, the first one to defeat an Uber boss or Pinnacle boss or whatever. I don't care about those things. I'm going to go for an exploration route. They have shown on the map that there is different locations, like some caves or some zone bosses and stuff like that, and I want to go on a full exploring tour, trying to overlevel the zones a little bit, trying to gear up and just having an easier time, hopefully, in the campaign, but we're gonna see about that. So this is my like little bit of rant on the starters. Cat, please, thanks. So what am I going to play? So there is two basically ascendancies that I wanted to go anyways. But first of all, I want to showcase this image over here. So this is what the full release of Path of Exile should look like with all the different classes and ascendancies. And as you see, there is only a few available on the early access. So if everything would be unlocked, I would definitely go for Druid or the Huntress. These are the two that I thought about the most once we saw all these like PoE2 trailers and stuff like that even a year ago when they showcased some of that stuff. And sadly, they are not available in early access, not yet, but all of these classes should be available until the full release, which should be in like 6 months to a year from now, basically, right? But going over the list, what we have available, there is two ascendancies where I think they look the coolest, and this is the Infernalist as well as the Blood Mage. Good thing, both of those are witches, so I'm going to start a witch for 100% guaranteed, but the question is just like, am I going for Infernalist or the Blood Mage? Both have the pro and cons, but since I'm an Ignite enjoyer in PoE 1, it is my favorite type of dealing damage with Ignite proliferations, explosions, and whatnot, Herald of Ash, and so on and so forth, I said, you know what, Infernalist looks pretty cool. So let's take a look what might be very cool over here. I'm not talking about anything about this like stacking and reserving life and stuff. First of all, it's the demon form. So currently, I think there is a bug where when you change into demon form, it kind of like disables your weapon, but therefore you get like +4 skills or something like that. I don't really care too much about that thing. I just want to play as a freaking demon lady because it looks fucking badass and you get like a lot of like increased damage and cast speed and whatnot, and you can even sustain a permanent demon form with the Master of Darkness because it caps out. So basically, the longer you stay in demon form, I think every second you get a stack of demon flame, and that means you degen more, and at some point you're just gonna get thrown out of the form, but you therefore get more damage and more damage, right? But this is like unsustainable because it's an ever increasing rate. But if you take Mastered Darkness and you get to 10 Demon Flames, it caps out. So it's gonna be 10% life lost per second that you can then use life recovery, leech, recoup, or I don't know, whatever source there's going to be available for that thing to sustain it, and that grants you permanent demon form, which I'm really excited about. Next, Pyromantic Pact is kind of like replacing your mana. I'm not sure, there's not gonna be any interactions, I assume, with like Archmage or Mind of a Matter or anything like that, just because you don't have mana anymore, right? But for me, if you don't plan to play with like any mana shenanigans in the start, Pyromantic Pact is just like just solves all your mana problems in the start. And then Bringer of Flame should be something like the Shaper of Flame, like all damage can ignite, so I'm fine to use whatever skill I want to ignite enemies. And the Loyal Hellhound is also like a very nice defensive bonus combined with the Altered Flesh, so we're gonna see how this is gonna turn out, if it's going to be the Infernalist. Second choice is the Blood Mage. So I am a big fan of life stackers. I also played like this Burning Arrow of Vigor in PoE1, once one of my latest builds, which is just about life stacking. And with life stacking, you basically have a solid ground to get tanky because you're just stacking life, and with the life stacking you get more damage, and this is basically like a nice tool in its own. One thing here with the Blood Barbs, which says elemental damage also contributes to bleeding magnitude. I don't know exactly these kind of words, but what it looks like or seems like is that elemental damage can bleed, which is something that doesn't exist in PoE1, which I always ask for but never happened. So something like an elemental, like maybe ignite, bleed, a Blood Mage maybe, then the life remnants is basically you spawn some health globes that you can run over, and that can basically overflow your life until like twice as much. So if you're like 3k life and you pick up remnants, you can get up to 6k life, where only 3k life is your life, but 3k is like a life buffer since you're spending also life for the skill cost. But I don't know about the passive tree. We're gonna see that in the evening, basically when we start. If there is nodes that reduce the life cost, reduce the cost reduction of skills in general, which should give you like an easier time sustaining that. Then you have the spell damage leeches life, which should be a very rare thing that spell damage can leech life, because usually it's spell damage leeched as energy shield. And then you have like crit damage and crit hit chance for spells. So, and on top of that, you have Progenesis as your ascendancy point, right? The question is, you can pick 8 points, like 4 of these ascendancy nodes. So it's a question what you combine. Do you want, like, you have to take Sanguimacy or whatever it's called here anyways, but then you can branch out maybe to crit damage and Progenesis, or you say, hey, I want to do like a bleed elemental type character. This is kind of like the thing, but based or going back to this mentality of the early access start, I really want to go in. I start as a witch, that's just what I'm sure, right? But then I'm going to use all my uncut gems and try out all kinds of skills that might look cool, even if it's like Arc, Fireball, Solar Orb, or whatever skills they're gonna be, and the combination with support gems. And since I don't have to make the choice of Blood Mage or Infernalist right away, because I need to do like the first lap or trial or whatever it is to even be able to ascend, and I think until that point I might find some skills that I think are pretty cool. Maybe it's even gonna be Essence Drain Contagion kind of style or something like that, but then I can make my final choice. And I don't even bother or mind going some kind of like minion style, because for me, Path of Exile 1 is a speed game, right? If you watch my channel for longer, it's like I'm all about speed and mapping, right? And minions never found a place there because I think they're just way too slow for my kind of like enjoyment. Other than PoE 2, which looks a lot slower than PoE 1. So I think minions might be actually really, really nice, and maybe I'm going to go into some Ignite minion kind of like army or something like that. I have no clue, neither do I care about it too much, because in like 4 hours we're gonna launch into the early access, and obviously I'm gonna stream the event on both Twitch and YouTube this time around, and I'll try to make daily updates on my YouTube channel for the daily progression, so you can follow up or maybe check out what I'm doing, what skills I'm using, maybe some items or combinations or mechanics that play with each other that might help you out, and so on and so forth. So feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow my Twitch channel if you don't want to miss out on that. Other than that, I wish everybody a wonderful start into the early access. It's just a massive game, but a minor part, and we're gonna build up. I assume there's going to be patches every couple of weeks and or every month with like new ascendancy. So we're gonna start playing all these new classes and try out all the fancy things. But for my starter, it's either gonna be Blood Mage or Infernalist. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.